Unfortunately, it almost felt like one of those ransom notes from a serial killer. They have lots of cool things, but it was out of order, it was out of sequence, and it just didn't come together.
Gotta crack the code.
That's right. Well,
you want to save your family.
Longzhu seemed to have an idea of the code, but cracking it, not quite.
Yeah, not quite there. But now we can see KT flipping over to the blue side, have that looseness with the ban. So right off the bat, they're going to take away the Talia, and LeBlanc will be answered from Longzhu. We already know what's going to happen on the red side, unless they very mysteriously let the Rengar go through.
Now, Longzhu have played games on red side before. You'll remember that against Jinair, they did not ban Rengar, trusting that Jinair would not first pick the Rengar, and got Rengar on red side. I'm not to say that's going to happen this game, but they've shown more creativeness on red side than some other teams. Jace is the one they love to ban, and it feels like KT will get access to Jace's. Gorilla nods and is like, yep, okay, I guess we have to ban the Rengar. Score was a Rengar player in previous metas.
But a Malzahar pickup here for KT. So still showing that high priority. I mean, same two bans in the bottom lane with the MF and the Zyra taken away. So they go ahead, snatch that up for themselves. So, you know, do you want to pick up the Jace? I think Expression might have to do so.
Interesting, because they know that KT will take it first rotation, as they did. Longzhu have been banning Jace on blue side wherever possible. You don't get the flexibility to ban it on red side, and Crash will return to the Elise. So that means that Varus might actually go over to the blue side. Almost always has been recently a first rotation red side pick. Def look great on it, just one MVP on it. Very, very safe AD carry to blind pick, and you don't normally want to reveal your solo lanes unless you want to take Ryze, because worth noting the pawn. Lots of Ryze so far this season, but teams picking solo lanes in the first rotation hasn't really been a thing, and then you also lose the ambiguity of the flex pick Malzahar that KT has already flexed this season.
It seems like we might just have to wait on the Ryze for a little bit later in the draft. Something like the Cassiopeia is still there to come out for the counter pick, but it's just going to be that Kha'Zix and Varus yet again picked up for KT Rolster. So very poke-heavy bottom lane, coupled with that Malzahar. Again, could see that flex in the mid, as Pawn has already brought that out before. But either way, KT getting a lot of what they wanted.
So Gorilla might actually abandon looking for the 2v2 laning phase. Tahm Kench will lose to a Malzahar Varus lane for sure, but it does give them the anti-pick potential of the Devourer on the Tahm Kench's kit. Outside chances flex to top, but that was more of a Rocks Tigers unique thing between Smeb and Gorilla than a standard thing across the teams. Certainly haven't seen any Tahm Kench top so far this season.
In a considerable amount of time. First ban, though, to come through is going to be Poppy.
Says that they want to play top lane Jace. One of the pseudo counter picks is the Poppy that can outscale at 2 armor items. We've seen Smeb win the Jace versus Poppy matchup, going Black Cleaver into Lord Dominic's for the full armor penetration build. And because they haven't taken an AD carry, we might just see KT on blue side ban both Jhin and Ashe and force prey onto Ezreal or Caitlyn.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Ezreal, very big pick for him. Wonderful player.
But imagine Ezreal Tahm Kench against Varus Malzahar. That's like the most wave clear and pressure versus almost none.
Look, I'm not saying that it's going to be good. I'm just saying that he knows how to play Ezreal. That's all I got for you, Papa. But Ryze will be the final ban from the side of Longzhu. So KT, where do they want to go with this? Do they go ahead and ban away the Jhin as well? And the answer is yes.
So effectively forcing prey onto Caitlyn if he wants to match lane, but then if Caitlyn falls behind, not going to be able to match Varus, and Varus does clear waves faster, more reliably. Or, okay, it's time to go to this other side of the world, Achilles. Straight over to NA. Give me some of that NA flavor as the Ziggs is locked in as a bot laner, ostensibly.
Way. Well, we were talking about how much we hate Yasuo
Pawn
earlier
loves
on.
playing Yasuo, to be clear.
This could just get locked in. I mean, okay. I mean, I think, yeah, I was going to say, I think that they would be drafting that for the top lane because you could block a lot.
They could still
with
take
the wind
Yasuo
wall.
here.
That's okay. That's very true. Maokai.
I don't think he's going to blind pick Yasuo, but Pawn loves Yasuo. Whenever I see a Yasuo in high elo Korean solo queue, I click over and inevitably it is Pawn.
Last pick for KT. Where do they go with their mid lane?
It's probably just going to be wave clear.
Oh, that would definitely be wave clear.
Orianna's available. Orianna would have been strong in this situation. Going for the Victor, so the faster wave clear. Varus and Victor, the double Vs, walk up. instant wave clear is now assured on the side of KT. And will Fly return to the Corki that he didn't really do so well on the previous game? Worth noting that in the previous series, his Corki mid in Game 2 against Jinair was a lot cleaner. And okay, very different. It is Kennen locked in.
Oh, so mid Jace going to be coming through.
Top lane Kennen. We're going to see the Marin Kennen on-hit build once again from Expression. We know how this matchup goes. Flexing the Jace to mid lane. Interesting.
Definitely not something you would expect to be in Fly's wheelhouse, the Jace.
So why you see this is that the Jace on red side is such a more potent counter pick because last rotation is usually exclusively the mid and top lane. Can be flexed into multiple different roles. They ban it on blue because they don't want it to be flexed on red side. They're kind of forced into picking it up to deny it from Smeb, and clearly still do have the ability to flex it as well.
I mean, it's a bold move, Cotton. I don't know how this is going to pay off for Fly, particularly with this Jace. Just doesn't seem to be something that really fits him from what we've seen. But got to have confidence if they're going to go ahead and swap that up. I mean, if this was fully intended by Longzhu from the get-go, it's a really good mind game for them to get the Kennen back into an advantageous position. But I feel like Fly, really, we have to take a look at him with this Jace in the mid lane, see how he's going to perform, because the Corki was really lackluster. Now, needs to be landing those skill shots for the big burst so they can safely walk up into the face of Victor. Otherwise, Pawn might just run all over him in this mid lane.
Early game, though, if we can see Crash emulate his Game 1 performance and be on the front foot, good lanes to invade for. We should see the lane pressure in basically every lane except bot, just because of Tom Kench support with the Ziggs. So if they can play around solo lane pressure and get the snowball going, maybe Longzhu can get to the same mid game, which was great in Game 1, but just stick the landing a bit better. However, you know, it's kind of up in the air. It's going to be a really fun one, Achilles. Longzhu really want to pick up a win here.
All right, well, let's see if they can do just that. Otherwise, KT going to snuff them out for another 2-0 victory. Let's go ahead and jump onto the Rift. And you can hear still lots of Longzhu fans trying to reinvigorate their team and spur them on to a victory. Fly going to be taking the Storm Raiders Surge. Been seeing a lot of, you know, sometimes we see the Storm Raiders come out every now and then. It's also the Thunderlords.
Fervor coming through from Expression confirms, as predicted, that it is going to be the top lane build. And starting with Cull is also pretty good sign. A lot of love for Deft in those signs. But look, Praying Gorilla, also very popular with the fans here at OGNE Stadium.
Drawing Prey as if he was, what is it, Ryan or Brian from Kakao?
Ryan.
Ryan.
Just in case you guys don't know, I think we're talking about Misfits. Kakao is the very popular messenger app. No, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger doesn't really have any penetration in the Korean scene. Kakao has about 100% market share.
I mean, it pretty much replaced just standard texting on your phone. Everybody just uses Kakao. It actually had LCK, or Champions emotes that you could get once upon a time.
Yeah, Gesper released a pack in 2015. Very outdated now. Someday in the old KT Rolster. Mad Life, still on CJ.
Yep.
But
not available anymore, so I can't.
Fury on Samsung, that's actually multiple hops ago.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But yeah, Ryan is one of the actual characters that, you know, Kakao originals, let's say. Cute bear that gets annoyed and miffed quite often.
It's one of the most popular emotes for you. You use that quite a bit.
Like just throwing all my toys out of the pram. Kilios for a British emote. So not British emote, a Britishism right there. And Mod and Deft, push, push, push. Normally Ziggs associated with that, but when you don't have a range support like the Malzahar that Mod is running, and it can be a bit difficult.
Also just going to take a couple more points spent into that Q to really be able to get the pushing power, as well as that Lost Chapter is going to help, so he has that mana sustain. For now, though, Score pushing forward. looks like we will have an invade. Crash is going to push into the top side of the map, but...
He started off actually with the vertical jungling again, Achilles. This is what happened in game 1.
Yeah, he won't find a buff, but do they want to go for Smeb? He drops a ward in the brush.
He started on enemy blue. That's why he has double buff already. This has been the story of this series, is starting on enemy buffs. Smeb should expect this gank. He's had no information. In fact, he sees it now.
Yeah.
Let's see if this works second time. It worked very well in game 1.
We're going to be looking for it. Flash on the cocoon, immediately held up is Crash. He's going to take a little bit of damage, and Smeb, he'll keep his life. Does pop the flash, but still has to be happy that he doesn't go down yet again.
A repeat gank from game 1. Doesn't get the same dividends. Was a masterclass of turret diving and a bit more surprise given that the vertical jungler wasn't as obvious in that game.
Just good game sense as well by Smeb to throw down that ward. Knows that they could very well try for that, having the same duo of champions. So keeps himself alive, and he's definitely going to need that. We saw just how impressive Especially was able to become in game 1. Could be looking for that yet again. Gorilla won't get the spit out damage. It's blocked off.
Fly actually has gone for tier first.
Ooh, okay.
This is definitely not possible on the top lane because you need to grab the long sword to start with the trading, but isn't going to be the manaless builds. When Jace had his mana cost adjusted downwards, it opened up, just rushing things like Yomu's Ghostblade and more Malmortius, you could say, in the mid lane. This does mean he's going to be looking for more poke, but the early trades, and also if Crash comes with a successful gank, the 20 AD from double longsword might be the difference between picking up a kill and missing out on one.
Yep. No Crash, speaking of him, going back up to the top side of the map yet again. He's going to wrap around, sees that Gromp, so should know that Score is in the vicinity. Starts this one up himself, will drag it into the fog of war and try to take this out, but this is so risky. Score's full HP. Crash is just going to go ahead and have to peel back. Control ward thrown down over the wall. Just donates a little bit of gold over to Crash.
Trying to run this top side jungle that the first boss was stolen away from, and there's a Gromp as well.
All right, good pick up there. In the end, spent a lot of time, so good for Crash to actually net something for it. But meanwhile in mid, you can see Pawn just pushing forward, keeping Fly away from the minions. Being as oppressive as possible, and it's going to shut him out of some CS.
Jace just hanging back. They don't have the aggressive vision. They saw Kha'Zix at the top side, but figuring he's on the bot side jungle now. Certainly been a much slower start to the game. At this point, I believe Especially had died and gotten kills a couple of times already. It was the second invade, specifically to the enemy red side, where the Elise and Cannon got the jump on their enemies and got that double kill. That really started up the winning early game for Longzhu in game 1.
Yep. And again, you still have to be worried if Longzhu can't get the ball rolling. I mean, they had such a good start in game 1, completely dictating the game, and then they handed it away. But they can't even get into a position to have a lead. And, you know, the ask of having them close out this game just becomes increasingly difficult. Prey.
Oh, he's dead!
Good lord, that damage coming through. Def just snipes him right into the face. Yeah. First blood going over to KT.
Yeah, I think this is surprising damage. Prey doesn't even use his heal, so about as clean as you can talk, and Deft on your screen, smiling, smirking. We talked about it being a dream bot lane matchup, and this time we have a true victor. It's KT, and specifically Deft, picking up that first kill.
Man, what a way to go. Just takes that arrow straight to the face. And Deft comes up with that very nice first blood. Talking about how the game was kind of stagnating. And Deft, actually, he's going to be building that Tear of the Goddess. So we've seen Versus move away from this. Go for the Essence Reaver first, but he's going to be going for the Mana Mute as well. Meanwhile, Crash in the river,
so
taking
squishy.
a hell of a lot of damage from Score. He's going to flash the wall. Make one more taste his veer. There we go. They'll take him out. 2 kills on the board for KT, and this might be where it starts unraveling, Papa, if you're Longzhu.
But can KT keep it up? We haven't seen the sort of dissemination of an enemy team from KT yet. So far in 5 attempts, they haven't needed to be clinical, really fast in the early game. Even if this ends up being a quick 2-0 for KT, I want to see them play at the level that SKT have hit more often than not this season.
Yep, still has yet to be proven. Now Prey coming back in, double
That's a really
right?
evil laugh on the Korean Varus.
I mean, Yeah, he's like some corrupted archer guy.
I know, but it sounded like Vladimir-esque. It really does get a whooping kind of evil laugh going on. Hadn't heard that one before, even though now we do play exclusively in the Korean client. In Korean. No longer can easily switch like was possible on the old client.
Which makes me sad.
We're learning Korean though, Achilles.
Yeah, you know, it's a process. I know how to type some things. I need to get. What I need to do is I need to get a Korean.
Are they things you can repeat on broadcast? Are they nice things?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I don't even know.
I mean, people learn the swear words first. That's just how languages go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that I learned when I living with Piglet at the TL house. That and Picklepa. Piglet was always just starving and wanted food. But,
80 carrying life as he is in
no,
game.
you know, things like Sugo. So I can say good job to my team. Like, we did it. Anya. But what I need to do is I need to purchase a Korean
Was that Piglet or was that Arrested Development with the Anyon? Be honest now.
That was Piglet.
Okay.
But, or maybe it was Arrested Development. I guess I did watch Arrested Development years and years ago.
Exactly.
It's kind of one of those things that I did learn, but then it slipped out of my mind. It kind of reminded me, I suppose. But, yeah, I just want to buy a Korean-English keyboard, I think. That way I can actually see the characters and I know what I'm typing instead of trying to memorize the placement of all of them. It's on the list of things to get right after I square away moving. That's a whole endeavor. I mean, you just went through all of that.
It's been a long day. Was up very early. Moving to a new place. My first new home in Korea. Up top. Smeb might actually win this 1v1.
It's looking like he might. Slicing Maelstrom comes down. Expression has to flash away. So Smeb really knowing that he could stick in the fight, has the Ninja Tabby ready to go to help mitigate that on hit, those auto attacks coming out of Expression.
So Expression actually had 2,000 unspent gold. So even though he had a control ward down and knew that the jungler wasn't coming from an obvious path anyway, still felt the need to flash because so much unspent gold meant that Smeb was just going to straight up 1v1 him in the Maokai vs Kennen matchup.
Yep, yeah, I mean, good yet again for Smeb to identify that. Now things could be considerably more difficult for him. You can see Expression and Crash ready with a wrap around, but score is nearby. Wards are down. Pawn's here to join. They jump onto Crash, and he just gets annihilated. Score comes up with the kill. Expression trying to make it back under the tower, but Score's got plenty of damage. He's got a red buff to slow him up. The gravity field just to really lock him out from underneath the turret. And Pawn puts one on the board for himself. 1-0-1 on the Victor. 4-0 on the hole for KT Rolster. And looks like first brick is going to be coming through as well. They have just blown this game wide open.
Yeah, KT was so smart. They completely scouted out the aggression. That's why we saw Pawn in position. The mechanics also, Smeb, just deftly, and I'm going to use that with pun intended, but deftly twisted advances through the cocoon from Elise, dodges that skill shot even though it was almost point blank to get the first root, and then the double kill. This is the sort of KT I wanted to see, and finally, at the 6th attempt, we're seeing it. And also one thing I want to shout them out from the draft phase as well, as Longzhu against the Tide want to at least find a Drake for their early game. Cool thing that KT did in this game was when they saw the Ziggs picked up as the first pick of the second rotation, they instant locked Victor. And I was like, even during commentary, I'm like, okay, but the Orianna worked. Why?
Oh boy, flash forward. Mata has another grasp, which apparently doesn't get broken when you devour somebody.
Nope. Suppression is only onto the character, not onto, it just doesn't interrupt something like the Devour, so no problem there. Also worth knowing that if for some reason you're displaced and the Mauser ult doesn't channel and you're just visibly not on the pool, you are stunned, but you don't take damage because all the damage is if you're on the actual null zone. But just to finish the point, they drafted the Victor because they did an instant cast wave clear, and you might be like, okay, Orianna hits level 9, gets some items, and gets there. Basically, the worst case scenario for KT was that somehow Frey gets first brick in bot lane, the first outer bot lane turret of the game, then rotates mid, and if Orianna doesn't have the items and can't instant wave clear, he deletes the mid lane turret with his W, goes top, rotates. Victor gave them the insurance that between Varus and Victor, there would be no mid game that basically completely accelerated the game, 5,000 gold out of nowhere through the mechanic that Ziggs has in his W, that turret execute. So that's why we saw the Victor drafted. on paper it was like, why Victor, you know, with other options available, but they need that wave clear, and that's why the Ziggs now, against specifically Varus Victor, there is no breathing room for Ziggs realistically to get the turret executions.
Well, very well thought out by KT. Have to expect that you're pretty on the head with that one, Papa Smithy.
But it's also a draft and gameplay matching, and when you have talent, drafting, gameplay, theoretically, you've got a super team, so that's exciting times for them. There's more kills up top, I guess.
I mean, it's exciting times for Smeb and Score, not so much for Expression. See, still doesn't have the flash available, just trying to distract Score as long as possible. But he still goes down in the end, 3-0-1 for the Kazakhs. Considerably better game compared to the first. Fly goes in for a trade on the pawn, but takes a lot from that Chaos Storm. They're not done yet. Here comes Gorilla with Prey in tow. Can they answer with a kill? Pawn goes low. The Devourer comes through, teleport coming out from Smeb. Doesn't have a flash to try to get in range of Gorilla to lock somebody down, but Score's coming around the backside. Prey going low, down to about half HP, but Score's just going to leap his way out to safety. Meanwhile, Deft sticks around in bottom. No need for him to roam up. Knows that his team is comfortably ahead. They'll proxy the wave and just work down that tier 1 turret and bot, just elongating the lead that KT Rolster have already amassed for themselves.
Breaking wave clear in mid, but the lead is even bigger than the 4,000 gold at 14 minutes, which again, given the timer, is very severe. KT's team comp also much more reliable, much better in the late game. Only Expression split pushing is the hope, but split pushing when you have no map pressure is just impossible. Second turret goes down for KT Rolster. Complete control on the super team.
And now KT just have to avoid doing what Longzhu did in game 1 with throwing it all away. Something tells me that they probably won't have a problem with that. And Smeb, I mean, he's been in such a good position getting those 2 assists in, just having Expression constantly hounded. Gorilla gets a Devour in on Namada, but there's no one there to really pick up the kill. Fly coming around from the side, Silence coming through. Gorilla is able to pop the Grey Health in time, gets the stun out, but the Chaos Storm comes through. Fly is able to snipe out the Malzahar. They get the flash away from Gorilla, however, and the rest of Longzhu have to peel back, because even just these 3 members of KT that are present can very handily deal with Longzhu.
Yeah, even the levels, level advantage for everyone involved in that skirmish. Pawn at level 11. Yeah, Storm was already used, but still the respect is needed. And it's just a kill. Worth noting, nothing else to take. Drake is dead. No way to push against Varus. Varus comes when they're snowballing. Even more disgusting when they're delaying the game. As Flies, there was something here on Pawn.
Yeah, he's gonna get locked up. Gravity field does go away. Now Crash jumping forward. Pawn's still alive though. Gets a heal coming out from depth, but it's not enough to keep him alive. He will go down. Now 4 members of Longzhu here in the bot lane, but Fly and Crash both so very low. Big Shock Blast connects on the Score. He'll be able to zip his way out to safety. And you can see that Mega Inferno Bomb won't connect. So no kills picked up. No further kills, rather, picked up here for Longzhu outside of Pawn. Definitely wanted more for how many members they were able to commit into the bottom lane, but they just come up short.
Yeah, Maokai walked down just in case it was going to be a very elongated fight. Despite there being no AD barring the Cull and the Doran Blade, this will be turret down to Longzhu, first of the game.
Nice pickup for them. Smeb looking like he wants a piece of Expression, though. Jumps on him immediately, hasn't taken much damage. And now with Mata roaming up, has the Nether Grasp available. You have to think that Expression might just be falling yet again. Hasn't popped the Slicing. Maelstrom might not even get a chance to. Nether Grasp comes through, he gets silenced. And the Maelstrom from Smeb gets popped, and he comes up with a kill.
Doesn't matter how much hybrid damage you have when Warden's Mail, Ninja Tabi, and the Spectre's Cal are all completed this early. As an answer for everything coming through from the build from Expression. And then the Malzahar to guarantee the kill as well.
Longzhu maybe looking for something in mid, though. Cocoon gonna go wide, but Pawn still takes a huge burst of damage. Jump forward by Prey, able to take him out with that short fuse auto attack. And they come up with it. Devour from Gorilla to keep Crash alive. A nice pick yet again on the Pawn, just trying to bully out this Victor as much as they can. But can Longzhu get more from this? Dragon just now spawning. Can they collapse on this? Looks like the answer is going to be yes, but Score is nearby. And Longzhu, they might just have to peel back. Control Ward thrown in over the wall. Deft is ready to throw out the piercing arrow, either to try to come up with a steal or to chunk them out. Getting Corruption, not going to connect onto the Jace because it's just going to find Gorilla. And the piercing arrow's just chunking through everybody. Score flashes over the wall, but
1 Q here.
Exhaust comes out, but now here comes Smeb. Repel up into the air, Crash keeping himself alive for a little bit longer. The heal is there to help him escape down to that tier 2 tower. Expression comes in with the slicing Maelstrom. Won't find depth like he wanted, but instead finds Smeb. And Smeb is ready to take a big chunk off of this cannon yet again. Piercing arrow connects, Expression goes low. And meanwhile, on the other side of things, Mata will come up with a solo kill just about at the end. On to Prey, working him down with those Voidlings. And yet again, Longzhu, they try to do something, they get stopped right in their tracks, and KT, they come out on top. They'll take that dragon, they'll take a mid-turret.
We're going to see the replay. Good target selection, going straight onto Fly when they noticed he was out of position. So many people DPS down, and suddenly a Q could actually kill 3 members from Deft in this case. He hits every Q in this particular chain. Such is his level of accuracy and Prey. When you're behind on the Zig spot, when you don't have map pressure, you pick this for when you have a pressure advantage. When you're against a team that doesn't have Varus Victor, you're able to do so much. It's pretty embarrassing being soloed down by just a whole lot of crap. Wolves, Voidlings, a bit of incidental damage from a support. It's always bad when your bot lane carry is soloed down by a support and also some jungle camps.
Yep, Expression. Well, Expression's dead.
Yep.
0-4-0. This is a night and day difference compared to game 1. Longzhu just couldn't even find a single foothold. And KT finally having that dominant performance that you've been asking for. That, I mean, pretty much everybody's been asking for.
Gotta create hype somewhere. Telecom War generates its own hype, but now it's kind of taken both the role of the old esports rivalry and the 2 top teams on paper. Last year was always about the Rocks Tigers when it came to being able to push SKT man for man, but KT had both those things finally assembled for the Rift.
I mean, if you want to talk about hype, I mean, obviously today is the only day that we have for LCK this week. We had yesterday and today. It's Lunar New Year, so we have a week off before we do come back. We'll be back on a Wednesday of next week. Prey, I mean...
He already used his satchel as well.
Yep. Almost gets a kill on the Deft. A little bit more AP. Might have been able to come up with that one, but just too far forward. No turret to keep him safe. No vision control. He goes down. But as I was saying, after today, we go to a week-long break. We're back on Wednesday, and our second match of that day is KT versus Afrika. So we'll get to see Smeb versus Marin. So how's that for some nice hype as Crash goes down?
Well, you got to find hype from places that aren't this game. Could still be some cool mechanics. KT have steamrolled Longzhu, and Longzhu. My biggest takeaway from this game is that once Longzhu fell, pretty significantly behind 4K at 14 minutes, their plays actually got worse, more sloppy. Their wards, okay, they have vision on this Baron, but not much more than that. Prey randomly overextending in top, multiple people getting soloed down and executed by Score.
And I mean, well, now Smeb flanking into the back line, trying to get on top of the Gorilla, not the Gorilla. They stopped the Baron though. But I mean, I was gonna say you have to expect that Longzhu might have been coming into this game already playing against KT, who had a stacked deck after they just gave up game 1. That has to just hurt you so much mentally. So I mean, once they started losing pretty considerably with that 4K gold disadvantage, that might have just been the final straw, and the mental could have gone boom.
But you look at the lineup. This lineup is not rookie at all. Crash, okay, a year behind him, but Expression 3-4 years. Prey and Gorilla just as much time as this isn't a duel. There's a lot of experience on the side of Longzhu. So, I mean, super team is a term you'd look at in any other region. This is a super team in itself. A lot of talent there.
Oh boy.
As more people will die. So there's a lot to worry about, honestly, Achilles. That
Score going low. There we go.
The mentality side seems to so easily escape Longzhu.
Well, Fly coming in hot, flashes in, gets that kill onto Score. So a sign of life, but now Crash about to lose his more than likely. Chaos Storm still taken away, but nice devour coming through from Gorilla, able to keep his jungler alive for a bit longer. Crash will just go ahead and recall. Baron still hasn't been taken by KT, but I mean, they're still in such a strong position. I mean, it's either we can go for the Baron or we can just knock down turrets without it. Don't really need it to get objectives at this point.
You feel like everyone on KT can turn around a 1v2 at this point as well. Items are in a really, really nice spot. Straight up Rylai's bought by Pawn. Still putting together an item build is Def, getting some magic resist to deal.
I'm waiting for the straight up Muramana to come through because that's got to be stacked up at this point, you would think.
Getting close. Feels like 24 to 26, 27 is the power time for those Manamune transformations.
Kind of been slowed down since what we saw last season. There's a lot of 22 minutes if you got that as your first item. That was something that we saw come through, 22 minutes. I mean, hell, the one time I think we had 16 minutes on a stack.
I mean, you definitely have to transform it straight away. The one you're quoting, I believe, was a level 1 tier.
Yeah.
Definitely an outlier. The asterisk has to be there. That wasn't 7 minutes and then just literally, like,
oh, sure,
power charged it. But when it's only the tier, Deft, while he does use the Q a lot, it isn't the Manamune that gets it on the auto attack as well. And yeah, nothing Longzhu can do. You just want to put up as much vision as possible and then catch someone who tries to get very deep vision. For example, where this control ward is on the map from Longzhu is somewhere KT would love to ward before they went to Baron.
That said, KT, oh, well, just poking in where they can, waiting for this wave to push up in mid. Bray going to be doing his damnedest to clear this out, but they have a lot of damage. Throw out the Mega Inferno bomb just to get rid of the wave, so cooldown expended. If KT can make their way over to the Baron, they wouldn't have that big explosion from Bray to deter them.
And in a different game, this game actually flows very different at this point. Maokai's always going to be split on the other side of the map, but you look at KT's side, let's say this is an even game, there's no duo from KT that can safely put down wards without someone being deleted. Kha'Zix, Victor, Varus, and Malzahar don't have a lot of tankiness between them as looking for a turret dive.
I mean, Gorilla going low, so has that great health to pop. He'll do just that. Slicing Maelstrom comes down from Expression, locks up Smeb. He's going to flash forward, tries to find a kill on the Prey, but he just can't go that far up. Redemption comes in, 500 plus HP onto the already very healthy Maokai. And that's going to be a tier 2 going over. KT could rotate straight down into the river, take this Mountain Drake, put a second dragon on the board for themselves, and just make it that much easier to take out the Baron.
It's a game of what-ifs from the side of Longzhu. KT just take every free objective, which at this point is so many. When Maokai's outdueling Kennen on the other side of the map, and Kha'Zix and co can put together wards because everyone's scared of just the sheer damage, even though they're so squishy. Longzhu don't really have any strategic options, barring a massive misplay on the side of KT Rolster.
Yeah. KT just pushing forward. That's going to be a teleport coming in from Smeb. Is spotted out, repel over the wall for Crash to keep himself safe. But you can see KT, they have decided the time is now. Let us get ready for the Baron.
With Maokai there, they can tank it freely forever. One pick would do it. Easier said than done when Gorilla's on the case on the Tom Kench.
Getting Crash would definitely be their ideal target. Or Prey to eliminate a lot of that poke damage. Looks like they might just go ahead, commit into the pit. They pop the blast cone. Do they want to start this off though? Looks like they will. Mata is waiting around the backside, has the Nethergrass ready to lock down Crash if he tries to go in with the repel. He's looking for it. Crash pushing forward. Nethergrass comes through. Gorilla just now going to devour. Tries to spin him over the wall. Won't find it. Mata goes low. Crash, he's going to have to jump in there. The Baron is being delayed so long by KT. They can just hold on to this one, but no, it's not going to be confirmed by Crash. Can't come up with a steal. Deft actually gets the last hit in onto the Baron. Expression not even playing around with the team, just trusting them to not die at the Baron pit as he tries to knock down a tier 1 turret at bottom lane.
It was so close. Crash flashed over Q'd at the same time Score smited. Got it down low on an auto attack of all things, I assume, from Deft is what secured it. Crash had the flash, so he didn't actually have to go straight into the pit. KT waited and waited and waited, and then just decided to go for it. And actually it's a Q from Deft, not an auto attack that claims it's so close. Looks like Crash would have had the mechanics to get it if not for the early smite from Score and the secure from Deft. So not necessarily the cleanest of Barons, but a Baron nonetheless, one that this far ahead and with a wave clear advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't even lose the tier 1 turret, and bot now Expression look like he's going to lose his life on pushing up, getting that move speed from the Q, but Gorilla will be able to take him out in the safety, spits him out, but he gets locked into that gravity field. Goes low, has to pop that great health, there we go, barely does it in the last second, but it's not going to be enough by the look of things to keep himself alive. He goes down, Pawn coming up with a kill, and now Smeb just diving right into the back line. Such a tanky Maokai will finally fall in the end as Expression picks up the kill, but that's already 3 dead on the side of Longzhu just for Smeb, and you have to think that KT should be able to knock down the inhibitor, maybe even end the game right here.
Well, the minion waves are so far away because they're tanking up, and inhibitor turret score's dead.
He does get executed, so yeah, actually not going to be the end of the game. They will lose 2 Baron buffs at the end of this, and now Mata, Deft, and Pawn, so I had a mind fart right there, will be way too low to shove in and finish this one off, but looks like Deft might be able to answer with a tier 2 and at least move the wave up. Doesn't want to commit, sees Break coming back in, so he will go ahead and peel back, but I mean, 11,000 gold in the lead now is KT Rolster. They're going to have well, Ocean Drake won't really help close this out, but I mean, they pretty much have all the tools necessary to go ahead and stomp out the last breath of Longzhu.
They skipped a lot of steps there by diving 2 turrets, got the kills, and execute for score, not the biggest deal, with no big objectives he needs to smite on the board. But the game will roll on for at least a little bit longer, much to the chagrin of Longzhu, you'd have to imagine.
Pawn looking like he wants to 1v1 Expression. Runs around the side, and Expression's going to head for the hills. So won't be able to find that kill, but yeah, I mean, KT, it's going so ham inside the base. Oh boy, now they're going to try to turn this one around. Missile Voyage coming through, Gorilla jumping in, and Pawn sticking around way too long. No vision inside the jungle of Longzhu, and they come up with that pick. I mean, that's exactly what they wanted, but they would have preferred to have had that before the Baron went down.
I mean, the timing there is still good in context of where we're at. Specifically, they're not giving away anything and getting some gold and extra experience, because Pawn was higher level than anyone. We'll get that turret as well, so the timing is good because there's no objectives on the other side of the map, or even the Drake on this side of the map. As Expression's once again going for the push, but Righteous Glory will answer it.
Comes in with a lightning rush, but they'll just get locked down. Slicing Maelstrom yet again, only going to do so much. Score does go decently low, but he's able to finish him off in the end.
Not much to say. Just overstaying, that's been Expression's MO. He realizes that teleporting in with this item build doesn't really do anything, especially with how fast Maokai's at his frontline items. One thing, picking a laning focused champion and winning lane, like he was doing game 1, when you lose a lot harder. At least AP Cannon can think about the team fight phase and go, all right, 2-3 items, a proto belt, maybe I'll make something happen. AD Cannon, not really that reality.
Yeah. Well, rough stuff here for Longzhu. Having to pick up the Zerat portal.
On Elise of all people.
On Crash. Smeb could just walk up, auto that a couple times. Looks like they'll let it stay up for a little bit longer. Mata pushing forward, trying to get some vision perhaps inside the base. Silence out the members of Longzhu so they can push up. Then Inferno Bomb comes down, does clear out the wave. They only get a little bit of damage in onto the turret. See where KT wants to go with this one. The bottom wave going to be pushing away from Longzhu's base, what with the Zerat portal, and top lane now. Expression's up there to keep that safe. Looks like it will just be the Ocean Drake for KT. So, I mean, they've really put their foot down on the accelerator, but now they're going to go ahead and pump the brakes a little bit.
And they're in a rush. They're very confident with their team comp. They have the true frontline tank, whereas Longzhu, I guess they have now Tahm Kench for 2 off tanks on their side, but certainly not the team fight impact that a Maokai can make. Expression skipped over the Hurricane, so that's why you see him staying in lane. Doesn't even have sort of team fighting that the Hurricane Mallet can provide. Just hoping against hope that he has enough items to take down Smeb. Somehow, I'm skeptical.
Yeah, I don't think that one's very likely. And Smeb has just, you know, constantly had the backup of score as well. So it's just been really rough times from Expression. I mean, right off the start, he has as many deaths as his team has kills.
That's not a good look.
Feels bad.
We're swapping the kills for assists, the kills for deaths in game 1, but just doing a bit of that old feeding this time. He's not doing the wrong thing. The score obviously doesn't look good, but he's choosing not to teleport into fights that they will just lose harder if he shows up. At least in previous fights, he was chunking out bot lane turrets. He was forcing the hand of KT. So when they're sending multiple members bot, that's one of the few times that Longzhu's actually been able to dictate rather than be dictated to. They got a pick, they got a turret, then one person dies from sending multiple members of KT. There's still something about drawing pressure, as Expression is known, playing a lot of Singe so far this season when it comes to the map pressure game. But otherwise, if KT's allowed to walk up, they've got the items, they've got the pick CC, teleport and Righteous Glory up from Maokai. We're just waiting for the one further engage that just kills the game.
Yep. It looks like it might be coming up soon as Baron is respawning in less than 10 seconds. You can see KT already shoving forward as a unit.
Smep's not interested. He's like, well, let's go find a pick. I'm not interested in dealing with this cannon.
It is going to be wandering his way up. I mean, Expression should be able to take that tier 2 and bottom, but it's probably at the exchange of the Baron for KT, which in all likelihood would just lead to them ending the game. That's going to be the Nethergrass coming through onto Gorilla. He'll flash away as the Malefic Vision's ticking down on him, but he is able to make it out relatively safely, loses about half of his HP. See if KT feels confident enough to engage the Baron off the back side of that.
They have one more Scrying Orb. They have multiple different abilities that can steal the Baron as well, but Def's doing some good zoning.
And there's a hell of a lot of damage coming through from Score. Turret does go down in the bottom lane. Def down to about half HP. Again, Inferno Bomb comes down. Mata dropping quite low. Gorilla trying to get on top of him to come up with the kill, but just can't find it yet. Prey will be able to get it with the short fuse in the end, but here comes Pawn back around the side, drops the Gravity Field with the Chaos Storm on the fly, trying to come up with the kill. The Hex Drinker is there. He jukes out of the Storm with the To the Skies, but it doesn't matter. Depth is there to help his mid laner out. Comes up with a kill. No seal coming through from Crash. Score will be able to smite this out. Crash will lose his life for it as Smeb takes away the killing blow. A 3-for-1 Expression trying desperately to knock down this inhibitor. And KT looks like they might just be able to answer in time. Here comes Smeb, slicing Maelstrom down immediately. Score to back him up. A couple more shots. Can he get it? No! Tries to flash away. Goes down in the end. 90 HP on the inhib, and now KT will be looking for one of their own. It's just Prey and Gorilla alive inside the base. And the Ziggs is going to have one hell of a time trying to wave clear through these Baron-empowered minions. You can see that inhibitor, not long for this world, will go down. KT, do they just keep pushing? It's 10 seconds out on Fly. This could be a little bit risky, but they have the TP coming through from Smeb.
Yeah, it's one load of minions clear, but not all of them. Maokai will walk up. I think it's going to be the series for KT, Achilleos.
It's definitely looking that way. Gorilla doing his damnedest to tank up, but it's just not enough. Smeb smacks him down. The Nexus turrets fall, and KT Rolster now with this exposed Nexus should be able to finish off the game. Longzhu just trickling in one by one, hopelessly trying to stave them off, but in the end, KT will close this out. Another 2-0 victory for them in just 36 minutes. Nicely done. And Longzhu, you gotta say, a lot of work needs to be done.
I really want to rewatch that last Baron fight because Expression was not going to teleport in. He understood that he was going to keep on the inhibitors. That fight was close. I think Longzhu had the right balance at the start of poking in. KT got the Baron low. They spent a long time tanking it up. There was a 1-for-1 at the start. Maybe there was a tank cannon teleporting in, CCing a couple of members that actually would lead to a one fight for Longzhu. Very hard to evaluate. Expression, either by his own hand or by his team's, stayed on, couldn't get the inhibitor. Maokai with Baron and teleport comes in, and the game is killed in much the same fashion as game one. So in spite of Expression split pushing, KT get through, but this one was a lot cleaner from KT. Finally, the explosion at the start of the game. Really fast-paced. Score got ahead. Multiple members got ahead. Maokai was solo killing, or nearly solo killing a cannon, which let you know how well the game was going for KT. And again, not in the same fashion as SKT, but if you hadn't watched the games, both super teams 6-0.
Yep. Looking really good for KT. Longzhu, they have some time off. They play when we come back next week on Wednesday, so they have a good amount of time to reassess, figure out the problems. Where did things go wrong? I mean, we can figure out where things went wrong really easily in game number one, but when they come back, they're going to be playing against Longzhu Monster, a significantly weaker opponent, you could say, compared to KT Rolster. So could be an easier time for them, but Longzhu is a team that has shown promise, so they still need to prepare for that matchup. But with these, this 8 days off coming up for them, hopefully they can get enough practice in, they can get enough preparation through, and come out and put another win on the board.
Yeah, kind of a bizarre schedule. Kongdu actually played back-to-back on the first 2 days we come back, so certainly not liking that. BBQ an easy opposition for them, then Longzhu. Longzhu playing today and then the next match day, but there is, as you say, the break to be considered there.
I mean, it's been a really weird schedule so far. We haven't seen BBQ without seeing Jin Air, I'm pretty sure. I think they've played on the same 3 days.
It almost is like
time.
we have the same group system that EU LCS in China does, but I think it's just the start of the year. Longzhu, you worry about the parallels to last year's Longzhu, don't you? Because the talent is there. I feel like the crop is a bit better, but 2015 had the 2015 talents went to 2016 Longzhu, had good 2015s under their belt as well. Gorilla, bit expressionless in the booth. Longzhu still have a lot to work on. We said that after they won against Jin Air. It was very much at the end after having some wayward ends to the game. And we kind of don't change the summarization. After watching the series against Jin Air, you would expect KT to dispatch them. To Longzhu's credit, big step up in game 1, but I would say an even bigger regression in game 2.
Yeah, it was 1 step forward, 4 steps back pretty much, comparing those 2 games. So unfortunately not able to even put a game win on the board for themselves. And KT is looking so strong after that second game.
And it was the Trinity. It was the draft, it was the players, it was the rotations. Everything came together for KT as we can look at the damage charts. No Maokai topping the charts. In fact, Maokai the last damage dealer, even lower than his support Malzahar. Victor, Kha'Zix, and Varus all fighting for the last 1,000 damage or so to distance themselves.
I mean, and that's just really impressive, honestly, coming through.
Especially from the Kha'Zix.
From score, from score and pawn to try to keep up with depth after we saw what he was able to do in game 1. But your MVP for game 2 is going to be Score. So gets his first MVP nomination on the board. The Kha'Zix really made it work here in the second game. Was a little bit lackluster in game 1, but coming out 8-2 and 9. Really good stuff from him.
Yeah, outpathed in game 1, but the pathing was much better in game 2. And then when you get ahead as Kha'Zix and all your lanes are winning, the deep vision can go down and everyone's walking up to be free kills and resets. This is the sort of game you can have. This is why you see Kha'Zix such high priority, is that worst case, solos down those Drakes and Barons very fast and is a decent team fighter. Best case, can decide the game. An 8-2 and 9, high kill participation, but specifically just the bloodiness of this game and the disorganized Longzhu made it pretty easy pickings for KT.
Yep.
Score was a great candidate. Smab also, I thought, had a really good game. Teleports were on point on the Maokai, and the drafting was really good too. So when it all comes together, this is what you get.
Yep. I mean, like you said, kind of out mind gaming Longzhu, going for the victor so they can just constantly push back against the Ziggs. It was really good stuff. So I mean, if you could award the MVP to the coach of KT Rolster, maybe you do that.
I think in another game where the Ziggs lane actually wins, then you come back and you're like, wow, it was so smart to go for the victor in that situation. But it was, again, kind of the cherry on the top of what was a very appetizing cake from KT.
It wasn't necessary, but it was still just an extra little step.
It was decadent, I would say. It's kind of a style when, like, you don't even need the style. You're just winning outright, guys. Calm down.
Yep. Right there, missing that final hit on the inhib. But I mean, honestly, even if Expression had gotten that, the base was still going to be shattered by KT in the end. So just trying his best wasn't enough. But let's go ahead and throw over to the interview with our MVPs. Joel is here for the translation. Take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. My name is Joel, and I'm here once again for your interview translations. And we are here with KT Rolster, who has received many different variety of expectations for this game. But in the end, they pick up a 2-0 victory against Longzhu. And we are here with today's MVPs, Deft and Score. Deft, congratulations on the win. Would you like to say something on the win? I feel like today's game was one of the more important games that we had to face throughout the season, and we're glad that we won today. And right before the Lunar New Year's, we're glad we really have a feel-good victory today, so I think we can spend the holidays right. With the AD cannon, you asked about whether it was a tough to face, but it was a really hassle to take on the AD cannon because it has a lot of conditions you have to meet to face against it properly. Score, you had a lot of talks about you know, going into this season because you have all these new teammates that you have to adjust with.
뭐 사실 팀적으로 생각한 건 아니고 저는 개인적으로
From a team composition, I wasn't too worried because our talented teammates would do the job, but I was just worried about, you know, getting my individual talents up to par.
목관도 잘했더라고요.
And it was something like I have to, you know, always maintain myself very well at the highest condition.
오늘 이제 바텀 듀오 간 대결이 많은 주목을 받았었어요.
And today's big attention really went to the bot lane matchup between the two teams.
하셨는데 오늘 스스로 평가하시기에
How do you rate your bot duo against the opposition today?
저희가 여태까지 했던 경기들이 좀 바텀 선수들이 그래도 비교적 쉬운
I think the teams that we faced so far, comparably, they were weaker bot duos that we faced, but
프레이 고릴라 선수가 좀 그런 게 있잖아요.
But Prey Gorilla has that thing going on with them, you know, having that big synergy that they always had.
그걸 좀 제가 영성을 뺏어오려고
I think I really wanted to try and make an objective to take away their fame of the Prey and Gorilla duo. I think I did just that today.
나왔던 것 같습니다. 그러면 경기 장면 보면서 얘기를 좀
So we have a prepared highlight video, and we'll look at that and have a further interview.
서로 설계가 됐던 부분이 있었는데
This was a situation where both teams really tried to go for the team fight, and
있었던 장면이죠. 그렇죠. 그리고 데프트 선수가 이 경기 내내 진짜 엄청난
this is how Def was really playing all game. He was getting all the pokes in and really contributing to the whole damage of the game.
많이 나왔었는데 그런 것도 컬을 뭐 어떻게 잘하는 건가요? 또 이런 데서도
Yeah, how was the communication between those kind of plays where there was a lot going on? Yeah, I think it was really all over. You know, everybody was saying different things,
많이 침착하게 콜이 잘된
and I think we were just trying to be calm as possible and just make the right calls at the right time.
저는 개인적으로 좀 불안해 보였던 게 뭐 이제 롱주 입장에서 마지막 승부수라고 할까요? 발언을 두고 막 미케네는 밀고 발언
One thing that was really nerve-wracking was that last Baron play where you guys were fighting for the Baron, but Expression was going for that split push, and he almost took out the whole inhibitor.
당해본 적이 한두 번밖에 없어요.
Yeah, it's a one or two times that I've really experienced that at its fullest, but it was once again nerve-wracking.
뭐 사실 데프트 선수가 막타도 치고 그랬던 거를
그때는 스마이트가 없는데 좀 천천히 치라 했는데
Yeah, I had smite, but you know, it was a situation where Def's Q took it out in the end.
협규가 먹어줬으니까 저는 대신 먹어줄 친구가 많은 것 같아요.
And I think I have a lot of people to help me out with my miss smites if I do miss.
싶어요. 좀 원래 스코어 선수가 좀 플레이가 편안하다 이런 얘기가 나왔었고요. 그리고 데프트 선수 전 개인적으로 좀 궁금한 게 현재 이제 바루스가 좀 튀어나온다.
That's something I'm very personally curious about is about your rating of Varus.
바루스라는 픽에 대한 평가는 개인적으로
How do you think about the champion right now?
바루스라는 챔프 자체가 일단 큐를 잘 맞추면은 되게 강력한 챔프
Varus is a very, very strong champion as long as you can hit the Q,
선호하는 것 같아요.
and it's a champion that I prefer the most.
그렇죠. 예. 논타겟을 얘기하는 것 같아요. 뭐 거기서 이어지는 게
Something that continues on from that is an AD cannon, which has really been on a constant rise recently.
적으로 뭐 무조건 갱을 좀 가져야 된다.
And it was a situation where, you know, you guys really felt it necessary to gain cannon more in this game too.
경우가 많이 오늘 두들겨 맞았는데
Yeah, in game one, Smeb was getting beat down constantly, bit by bit, in game one. But
한 번씩 가서
we wanted to really compensate for that, and in game two by, you know, going for ganks more often in top lane.
없이 잘 유지를 했다. 그럼 스코어 선수의 플레이 장면도 같이 한번 볼까요?
We have another play video of Score.
와, 이 장면이 좀 결정적이었던 것 같은데요.
This was almost the decisive part of the game where it really turned it around. Do you have any comments on this?
제가 했지.
Yeah, this was all me.
사실 보여가지고 왔는데
It was a situation where I knew this play was coming, and I knew the opponents were going to come in for that side flank, but I knew that I was in the right spot and was able to make that play.
처리를 하셨다. 그럼 이제 데프트 선수 이제 설 연휴가 시작되잖아요.
You guys are facing the Lunar New Year's coming up. Would you like to say something
일단
to your fans?
오늘 이기게 되어서 좀
I'm really glad that we got the win today. I think we could have a really nice holidays because of it.
좀 쉬셔도 될 것 같은데 또 솔로레이크를 그렇게 열심히 돌리시죠.
So you're saying that you're glad that you won, but you're gonna keep practicing.
입장이기도 하니까 팬 여러분께 감사의 한 말씀.
So you would want to say one last word to your fans?
일단
Score.
설날 전에 마지막 경기였는데
It was the last game before the Lunar New Year's,
감사하고
and we always thank you for your support. And
다시
we want to keep practicing hard and just keep improving our games so we can show you our good performances throughout the season. And that seems to be the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel, for the translation, as always. So Score saying, you know what, yeah, that was all me. I made that play. I saw it coming from a mile away. But, I mean, KT, what more can you say? They put another win on the board, another 2-0 for them, and they do look progressively better as these games have gone on for them.
And I know I needed to see Game 2 from KT to start becoming a believer, because they just kind of eased their way to 4-0. And then the sixth game, their sixth win in a row, was the one where they really killed the game early, played powerful, nice mechanics, nice drafting, everything came together. I needed to see that, otherwise it felt like SKT were on a different echelon. And they may still very well prove to be, but KT in game 6 of their 6 wins finally looks like they could hold a candle to what SKT have been consistently putting out on the Rift.
Yeah, and you can see right now they're going to be tying SK Telecom for first place, have not dropped a single game either of those squads. At the moment, Samsung rather bring up the rear with a Freak of Freaks right behind them. And a Freak of Freaks, they've been a little bit, up and down so far. We see them look really good in one game, then they look really disjointed in the next. So they're going to be KT Rolster's next opponents when we come back on Wednesday. But coming up next, we will have BBQ Olivers versus Jinair Green Wings. That's going to be in about an hour, guys. We do have to go to that slight little break as we're locked into that 8 p.m. start time here in Korea. It's 6:56 at the moment. So we're going to go to a break, run some music for you, throw up a timer so you guys know when to come back. And then, gives you enough time to get a snack. And that's what we are going to do. BBQ Olivers is here. They're providing free chicken yet again. So we are going to munch up on that and get ready for the game. So Jinair, I mean, they had an interesting game against Longzhu, as we saw on Saturday. Still look pretty dominant. BBQ Olivers, they've had their moments. Tempt has shined in the mid lane, got that double MVP. So we don't really know what's going to happen there.
Yep. But remember, exactly on the hour, so exactly in an hour and 3 minutes time, we'll be in to pick some bands. We'll be here for a bit of a rap session beforehand, but not much to go, and we've got to finish off for the Lunar New Year.
Yep, so we'll see you guys in about an hour. Don't go anywhere. We have more LCK still tonight.